Hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. Open this. All right. Okay. Torch 4 now. So, we'll review this game. E4, D5 is the Scandinavian opening. White should capture on D5, and when the queen captures back, I've been playing D4 a bit, but more standard, or not D4. I've been playing C4 a bit here. We're still gaining a tempo against the queen. We're using our extra move in a different way than usual. The usual move here is knight to F3. Also attacking the queen with tempo, but achieving a slightly different aim, whereas on C4 we're trying to get our pawn in front of the knight. And often after C4 you'll see queen E5 or even queen E4, and I would recommend blocking with your queen and not a minor piece. That minor piece doesn't want to be pinned to its king for very long. So the queen on E2 can oppose the queen on E5 or E4, and sometimes they'll swap in this whole different direction. But I chose knight to C3, and this move queen to C5. Oh, it just sort of belies the main error of the game was early on here with bishop B5 and capturing the queen as she is pinned to the king, and as the pinning piece is protected, that queen is going away, and this is straightforward how to win a game when you're 6 points of material ahead. So I won't actually go over too much on this game. Now that I recall that it was mostly an early queen pickup that led to my victory. Swapping pieces, and that's it. Alright, a good win now. Okay. Alright. Scandinavian defense. I mean it with the most common option, which is e takes d5, and after queen takes d5, knight to c3, developing with tempo. Queen to a5 is popular, so is queen to d8. These are the two moves you'll see here. Pawn to d4, and just setting up with the move bishop to d2, the potential of a discovered attack against my opponent's queen. This is usual play. Bishop to f4 here is a little loose because the queen is going to be kicked around a bit, or going to be moved around a bit by my bishop's attack and possibly by the knight and who knows who else. So bishop f5 is just maybe a little bit loose, but still very active, you know, cutting into the center of the board and so on. If I had to offer a suggestion, simply knight to f6 or stay with bishop f5. They're both pretty good. Okay. Bishop to f5. I played queen to f3. Maybe not my best move. The computer wants g4 right away, but I don't really want to commit my kingside pawn structure that far up the board. I suppose it's possible that I'll castle queenside and it won't matter, but most often I will castle kingside in Scandinavian defense, so I don't really want to throw my g-pawn around like that right now. I played queen to f3. Point with queen to f3 might have been to make way for a queenside castle. I don't recall playing it, so my opponent, anyway, at any rate, my opponent moves back to g6. I'm playing queen to f4. Aha! And then with knight to b5, some of my intentions are revealed. To get the queen to the f4 square, where the knight can be supported in a check against black's king and against black's a8 rook. Notice that black doesn't have time to capture the knight because black's queen has been made the subject of a discovered attack, and white's d2 bishop is attacking black's queen on a5. I thought my opponent played the best move here. e5. It's a good find. It doesn't quite solve the problems. It's the best move, perhaps. Let's see what the other alternatives are. Some of the other alternatives are about the same in terms of eval, the eval number, and I like this. Shows a lot of feistiness in my opponent, and so I played queen takes a5 anyway, which is the way to deal with this. I'm sure. Yeah, that torch 4 acknowledges that. So bishop takes a5, pawn takes f4, but then the point of the attack to begin with, knight to c7 check. And the king must move, and the knight captures the rook on a8. And normally here you see black sort of hustle in towards a8 in one way or another, either with a light squared bishop or a king or a rook. Now, my opponent played king to e7 here. I don't like this move. It says it's a good move, but look, we're blocking in black's blocking in his own bishop. A knight from one potential square. The knight can go here, of course, but this is blocks things in and doesn't get after where my knight's gonna be. My knight's here on a8, and he's gonna have difficulty escaping. I believe. What I'm thinking, and maybe not. What I'm thinking that black could have done better is perhaps king to d8, and then pawn captures, maybe go right after the knight. But then I believe with the knight where he is, he can escape to c7, except for maybe pawn to b6. So black should be going directly. Let's play this out. We're going to play this out. Black should play king to d8. So as determined, and yes, there's another discovered attack, but it's not a big deal. And black is going to capture the knight on a8 before he has time to escape. How does that work? We're going to c8, trying to escape, and now the bishop's under attack. So there's going to be somehow black is going to recoup a piece from his lost rook. I know this depends on how white decides to play, maybe knight to a6 or knight to e8. I kind of like e8 better. No, that's a blunder, says the computer. So perhaps knight to a6 is an inaccuracy. Let's look for the hint. What's the hint say? The hint says you might be losing both of these guys, but get your knight out. And now I think the hint will say escape with your knight properly. White still has this material advantage, a bit of an advantage on the progress bar, but it's better than the lines after king to e7. Yeah. So my opponent played king to e7. I captured the rook. My opponent played king to e7, and I captured the rook on a8. And now, with e7 instead of e8, white is thinking of how to disrupt black's attempts to imprison to capture black's attempts to capture the knight that is currently on a8. There's all kinds of considerations, frankly. Does this particular line that I'm calculating have enough time? Am I losing the chance to play knight takes b6 and lose my knight for a pawn? Sometimes it's last-ditch effort, and then it's one of these pawns that becomes a queen later on, So sometimes that's not the greatest move that you want to play, but it's there. I exchanged bishops here. This is definitely the way to go. I don't know how to explain this other than reflex. If you're if you're in this position and you play b4 and the king moves out of the way after you go and check, if your intent was to then play bishop to c3 or bishop to d2, that's just weird, man. We want to. I mean, all jokes aside, we want to trade these bishops, get black's d7 knight out of the way. We're still focused in this trade on rescuing the a8 knight. Alright, see how that draws the knight out of this area, and there's some possibility for a rescue mission. We would play bishop to a6, and then there's this wall preventing black's king from getting close enough to grab the knight, to getting close enough to capture the knight. So I played that move. This is the type of move I thought it was the best move of the game. It's here considered as good. Like this type of when is it gonna happen, if ever, situation that's the time where your human instincts are often better than the computer's calculations. Honestly, there's not many times like that left. but bishop to a6, I think, really says, like, how is black ever gonna challenge against this knight? It might be there. You reposition one knight to d7 and another knight to e6. Then black gets off the 8th rank, and then the rook comes in. But even at that, that gets white a lot of time in general, and a lot of time specifically to play bishop b7, protecting that knight. So that if the rook captures, then black has lost an additional amount of material in losing the exchange, or more. This is the type of situation you really want to notice these long-term things. Pawn to f3. Some of these moves now, I started getting nervous here, to be honest. I started getting nervous. Pawn to f3 is born out of the idea that white might soon play bishop to b7 to protect the knight, and then clear up some of these pawns, and that one way or another is going to help the knight escape. Still, we're not losing that knight without a fight, my friends. So what does pawn to f3 have anything to say about that? Prevent the black light square bishop from occupying e4, where he might target directly the knight after black might play c5, or just in general being an awesome position for black on the chessboard. It's still attacking c2 at some point, right? So I want to limit the options for black's light squared bishop, and f3 does that. Bishop takes c2. I still think black is underestimating the opportunity to grab on a8. Maybe not as much as before, but bishop c2 does capture a pawn and lessen the material difference down to 4 instead of 5. And with rook c1 is a good move, excellent move. When the bishop moves, he'll move somewhere, not there. He'll move somewhere like here, or here, or here, and then we get that pawn back, and now we're really making a go at it against black's queen side to rescue the knight on a8. Knight e7, good, excellent move. Recognizes that knight to f6 isn't as good. What black needs is initiative, so he's attacking my opponent each year. They are attacking my rook on c6. Rook's got to move, and it opens up opportunities. With the rook on the c file, I have a viable escape mission for my knight that is now on c7, and I thought with a sigh of relief that knight to e6 was not black's greatest move. I take the long range piece in general since we're close to the end game. My opponent is attacking back, but now here, in terms of chess, this game's the board is settled, really. I have a 10-point material lead. In terms of chess, in terms of chess, the board is settled. The clock, on the other hand, is not. My opponent is going to play here against the clock. Notice his moves are coming quickly, and my moves not quite as much, right? So here I thought, capture the knight, right? We're trying to avoid a nightmare scenario, so capture the knight. But also that in giving up the exchange here, we're sure that we're not going to fall victim to some kind of, some kind of tactic where black gets the rook without any sort of compensation for white. When we grab this knight, then my opponent grabs the rook. That's losing the exchange, but hey man, I got a Benz that I ain't even drove yet. So White's doing fine after losing the exchange there. Looking for piece exchanges mostly. My opponent's evading my attempts to exchange pieces. Yeah, I have 30 seconds left now, so I'm getting a little bit worried. Finally grab that knight. And here I know I can do it. So I block the king off from any kind of action. As the rook is supported on the e-files. The e-files blocked off, and maybe through an eventual G push and then an exchange of pawns and a king cap, who knows. But for the most part, I'm just going to run this a pawn all the way past time. It is. It's a great pastime, chess. Right, so getting there in the correct moment. Again, this is mate in one here. You wouldn't. That's not the thing. When you're so down on time like this, missing a mate one or not, you secure. My advice is secure the win. We got it here. It's the mate in one here. Is to follow otherwise. So great game. Accurate game. Wow. I noticed that. Now you know I'm going to do this anyway, so now I'm going to do this anyway. I'm actually, well, here's an interesting, I may have tipped my hand, but I was going to say, which am I going to do? Subtract the first missed mate, or go to the position at end and play it through to queen h8 equals checkmate. Or queen h8, sorry, queen h8 checkmate. I'm actually in the mood to make the first miss mate played correctly, in the first place. So equals queen, then king f5, and I should play queen to d5 mate. Alright. It will be a little bit more accurate in the analysis. This was a great game. Very glad to have played this game, and my opponent played a strong game. Reflected by an 85% accuracy. I played a strong game, reflected by 91. And overall, it's just, I'm really glad that I had the chance to play this game and that I played the game. Who got the game behind the game? Something's happening here. Alright. 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 Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Have a great night.